Next on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
A good operation works hand in hand with stewardship and good conservation.
We visit the Oak Knoll Ranch to learn how this ranching family is equally dedicated to both their land and their cattle. Plus, we'll look at how to keep costs down while getting the most value from your calves, and how the beef value cuts are gaining in popularity.
And now, NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman with your host, Susie Ross.
Hello, I'm Susie Ross. Thanks for watching Cattleman to Cattleman. A large ground beef recall leads our cattle industry news this week. Tops Meat Company of New Jersey has recalled almost 22 million pounds of ground beef due to possible E. coli contamination. The meat was linked to more than 24 illnesses in 8 northeastern states. Joining us to discuss the recall is Dr. Bo Reagan, Vice President of Research and Knowledge Management for NCBA. Welcome, Bo.
Thanks. Good to be here.
It's great to have you here.
Thanks.
The volume of this recall is certainly alarming. Does it mean that there's a flaw in our safety system?
No, that's a really great question. I think the way we have to look at this is, it's a really good example of how serious our USDA takes these recalls, not only about beef, but any food. Because the job that they have to be assured beyond a shadow of a doubt that if there's any product out in the marketplace that might remotely have been exposed to contamination, they need to get that product out. And so they're using abundance of caution. And so I think this is just a real good example of how serious they take it. And, from our standpoint, we take our hats off to those guys. They have a tough job, and we think they're doing a good job of protecting not only the consumer, but also our beef industry.
Absolutely. Reducing the incidence of E. coli has certainly been a focus of the beef industry in recent years. Can you tell us about some of the advancements we have made?
Yeah, as you know, Susie, beef safety has always been a high priority for our beef industry, something we take very seriously, and we're to the point now we're going to really take a hard line on it. It's interesting that because of our passion and interest in this area, U.S. beef industry is recognized worldwide as being the leader in the safety area. That's something we have to be very proud of, and we have a lot of expectations of ourselves in fulfilling that role. We've worked in a lot of different areas. We've put a lot of producer dollars into intervention area. I was thinking on the way over here today, I cannot think of a single intervention that we have in place that you can't find beef producers' fingerprints on. From the standpoint of developing, validating, testing once it was implemented, going back and testing that. So that has been a great role that's been played annually. Our industry invests about $400 million in beef safety, and that includes testing, research, interventions, and so forth. Probably one of the greatest roles, achievements that we have, in my opinion, that we can stand very proud of is the development of our Beef Industry Food Safety Council. That is a group of industry experts, leaders from all sectors of our industry. They have come together and they have developed best practices for each and every sector of the chain. And they're also taking a hard stand on safety. They feel very strongly that if you're in the beef business, you need to take these best practices and you need to put them to work. You need to use them in your operation each and every day. To the point that our philosophy is getting to the point where that we believe that if you do not take these best practices to heart and implement those, maybe you need to be looking at some other businesses to be in. And that's how serious we are about it.
And rightfully so. And then, of course, you've got to look at the consumer, the end user, me.
Oh, true.
It's really important for us to be handling beef properly and handling it and cooking it properly.
True.
Yeah.
Oh, very true. And I guess one thing I've learned through my years of experience in the beef safety arena is that, there's no silver bullet.
Right.
Everybody, each sector, each person has a role, and that goes down to the consumer too. We know that, for example, when you purchase a meat product, whether it be beef, pork, whatever, there's a safe handling label on that package, and there's a reason for that. It's a reminder that we need to prevent cross-contamination, and if you're dealing with a ground product, it needs to be cooked to at least 160 degrees internal temperature.
Right.
And it doesn't matter whether it's beef, pork, lamb, poultry, whatever, that product should be cooked that way. And that's one way that we can assure that if there happens to be any slight chance of contamination, that you can solve that problem right there. You know, it's sad to say, but in this particular recall that we're looking at now, the number of illnesses that we've had, those could have been reduced significantly or eliminated totally if that product had been prepared properly. So that's how important cooking is in ground beef products.
I think you're probably right. Thanks a lot, Bo. Great to have you here.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
We appreciate it. For more on the Tops Meat Company recall, you can head to our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. Each year, farms and ranches across the country are recognized for their commitment to both their animals and the earth through the Environmental Stewardship Award program. This week, we head to Salem, Missouri to visit one of this year's regional winners. Let's take a look at the Oak Knoll Ranch.
Oak Knoll Ranch, located on the rolling hills of south central Missouri, is home to Leon and Helen Chrysler. Married more than 50 years, they're equally dedicated to caring for their land and cattle.
Our operation here is a two-person operation. It's me and my wife, and I couldn't get along without her, and I don't know if she could get along without me, but it works out fine for us.
I enjoy it. I enjoy being outside because I'm outside about 95% of the time with Leon now. It takes both of us to keep this place moving, and as you can see, you know, all the work doesn't get done by itself or by me watching the soaps.
Leon and Helen started Oak Knoll Ranch in 1985 after years spent in other careers. Now their days are busy tending a 100-cow commercial Angus herd and backgrounding their calves. You wouldn't know it today, but they began on land that had been poorly cared for. Over the years, they've transformed the operation, which now includes 480 acres of timber and grassland.
A good operation works hand in hand with stewardship and good conservation, because you really can't have one without the other, I don't believe.
We set goals of what we wanted to accomplish, and it surprised us a little bit. We were able to reach our goals a little faster than maybe we even thought.
Those goals included increasing cattle numbers without increasing acres, and while reducing fertilizer and feed inputs. One key to reaching these goals was a switch to management-intensive grazing that began in 1991.
It's smart management. You just don't turn your cattle in on a piece of ground and leave it till it's all gone. You try to management to get maximum growth and maximum nutritional value out of that piece of forage, which is much better for the land, much better for the cattle, much better for the wildlife in the area. That's what management-intensive grazing is.
And over time, through management-intensive grazing, improving the diversity, and improving the whole system, we've seen a big increase in the productivity of the land, in the fertility, and in the aesthetic quality of his place.
Working closely with NRCS to develop, monitor, and refine their rotational grazing system, Leon and Helen have also added ponds, tire tank waterers, and a long list of other improvements.
We've developed fencing such that we can manage forage in a much better way. We developed the water system so that the cattle don't have to walk long ways to the water, and that's much better for them. And we've fenced the cattle out of the timbers, which improves the timber stand, and also gives us a better distribution of our manure in the fields rather than in the timber.
The other thing is fencing out and saving the trees that we have and the area for the wildlife that we have around here, and then fencing out the ponds where we leave it for the wildlife.
With natural beauty and a thriving cattle herd, Oak Knoll Ranch today is more than just a well-run operation. It's also a place where others come to learn about how this form of grazing operation works.
For a number of years, this was the private farm that we went on to show management-intensive grazing in the real world, not just in a research setting, but out here some producers actually doing it.
From cutting hay to caring for their cattle, Leon and Helen provide all of the labor on the operation, and they've demonstrated that two determined people working together can create a sustainable cattle operation that keeps stewardship top of mind.
I personally think that people can accomplish anything if they really want to do it. You know, you have to want to do something.
We both agree that we want to leave this land in better shape than when we found it. And I'm really appreciative I've got the time, and the good Lord has given us the ability to be together and given us these resources that we can work with.
The National ESAP Award winner will be announced at the Cattle Industry Annual Convention and Trade Show. It's taking place this February in Reno, Nevada. For more details, you can head to cattlemantocattleman.org. In today's often tough economic times, it's important to get the most value for your dollar. Next, we'll take a look at how you can get the most from calves on your operation.
The beef value cuts offer a wonderful opportunity not only to the consumer but also to the producer.
How the beef value cuts are helping to drive beef demand. But first, here's a look at this week's market summary provided by Cattle Facts.
Out here, you do a job right, then you move on. And when the job is fast treatment of shipping fever, Baytril 100 is how you do it. It's designed specifically for first-line treatment of bovine respiratory disease, for use by or on the order of a licensed veterinarian. Extra label use in food-producing animals is prohibited. Ask your veterinarian for more information. When the job is killing BRD fast, choose Baytril 100. Right the first time.
Our Quarter Pounder with cheese is made from 100% pure USDA beef. That means there's 0% anything else. That's what we're made of.
More time on the job means more work gets done. And when the job's all about keeping your herd healthy and productive, remember, only BovaShield Gold FP helps provide a full year's fetal protection against BVD persistent infections and IBR abortions. Why risk using anything less? Ask your veterinarian or animal health supplier about BovaShield Gold.
Welcome back to Cattleman to Cattleman. As input costs continue to rise, it's important for beef producers to look at ways to keep costs down. It's an important principle to apply when working to get more value from calves on your operation. Cattleman to Cattleman's Todd McCartney had the chance to learn more at Dixon County Feeders in Nebraska.
Fall is the season when many producers wean their calves and prepare them for sale, a transaction that takes those animals from the pasture and on up the industry chain. Most will end up here at feed yards like this, on their way to becoming steaks, roasts, and burgers for beef eaters around the world. Now, you're in the cattle business, but you're also in the business of raising and marketing beef. And because it is a business, you should be selling a product that meets your customers' needs and at the same time generating profits back to your business. So whether you're a cow-calf producer or a feedlot operator, you're always looking for ways to improve profits for your operation. We'll take a look at several of those ways on today's program. While in Allen, Nebraska, I caught up with Dr. Terry Mader at the Dixon County Feed Yard. No doubt Terry knows quite a bit about adding value to cattle. Terry, as you work with producers across the state of Nebraska, what are some of the top-of-mind questions that they bring to you?
Well, Todd, what the producers are really wanting to know is how can they generate more revenue and more profit in their cattle operation. So some of the questions that I get on a pretty regular basis is, should I precondition my calves? Does that pay? Should I look at other marketing alternatives, such as some of the premium-based alliances like all-natural organic beef production systems? And another one that fits into that framework is, should I use growth promotants in my cattle production system?
Okay, then let's talk about some of those practical ways. First, the preconditioned or the value-added calf. How does that fit into it?
Well, a preconditioned calf is one that's prepared to go into a feedlot from a health and well-being standpoint. These programs are really designed to allow cattle to achieve optimum performance by minimizing that weaning stress as they go into the feed yard. Local vets and the university personnel can certainly help us put together these programs and design them and tailor them to the producer's needs. But some of the basic requirements of a preconditioning program include dehorning, castrating, vaccinating for BRSV, IBR, BVD, and the Clostridials, as well as Pasteurella and PI3. Preconditioned calves also need to be bunk broke, and it'd be good if they are exposed to some type of water that they would see in the feed yard. So the other thing that becomes important is that the producer needs to keep good records relative to that preconditioning program. Good if the veterinarian can verify them. And some of our data on that is showing that these preconditioned calves can receive premiums of $3 to $5 at weaning time. And this is shown at some of our sale barns, local market auctions, and also the Superior Livestock Market Association is also showing that. And what this does is these calves, they experience fewer health problems, lower treatment costs, less death loss, and the data is showing that they'll yield heavier and higher quality carcasses. And this is based upon some of the original VAC 45 programs that were instituted several years ago.
When we return, we'll learn more of Dr. Mader's tips. Stay with us.
Your cattle represent generations of quality and commitment in your operation. As your calves wean and move on, they're a reflection of that tradition. That's why there's pre-sponse vaccines from Fort Dodge Animal Health. Prepare your calves for future respiratory challenges, including Mannheimia hemolytica and added protection against Pasteurella multocida. Pre-sponse and Fort Dodge, protecting this generation of calves so you can focus on the next generation of cattle producers.
Welcome back. Let's head back to Nebraska, where reporter Todd McCartney is learning how to get the most value from calves.
Well, it's pretty clear that the preconditioned calf and the value-added sales make sense toward profitability. Let's look at the all-natural calf for the sector that's going to that route.
Well, that type of program has some unique opportunities for those individuals who may have limited facilities or just choose not to use growth promotants. And so what I call all natural, there's also pretty close to hormone-free type beef production. And so in those systems, those cattle do merit premiums. Usually your cost of production can be a little bit higher simply because you aren't taking advantage of the growth enhancement from those hormones or implants. And so when we get into production cost, they'll actually be 15 to 20% higher in the feed yard, and therefore you need to merit a $5 to $6 a hundredweight premium. Now, that's a little bit different than an organic beef production system, because in an organic beef production system, it's all of the all-natural program, plus you need to be able to supply to those cattle organic feeds. So in that system, you have a higher cost of production yet. Also, because of the increased feed costs and not using the growth enhancement opportunities that are available, you need probably somewhere in excess of a 30% premium at the final marketplace to capture the returns to offset those that you don't get from using those other products.
So the all-natural and the organic do have opportunities, but they're not fit for everyone. Maybe the route of an implant or growth promoting, would that fit a larger group?
Well, for the most part, we only see 4 to 5% of the cattle that are marketed are all natural or organic. So therefore, 95% are still traditional, kind of commercially produced cattle.
Doctor, how do you answer the question then when producers say, I'm concerned about the safety of the beef products coming from implanted cattle?
Well, if you look at the data that the FDA has access to and oversight of, we can't find any difference in hormone or implanted beef and non-implanted beef. Tissue samples, basically, when you look at the analysis, are the same. These are very stringent guidelines that the FDA has in the evaluation of these products. So some of the hormone-free groups have claims that their beef is better because it's hormone-free. This is not so by any means, simply because you haven't implanted. And so the cattle that are receiving these products, they're safe for the consumer, safe for the people who are raising them, and safe for the environment.
Well, Doctor, you've covered a lot, so let's go ahead and just recap those practical ways we can bring value to our calf crop.
Okay, Todd, preconditioning pays. Utilization of growth promotants is profitable to livestock production systems. The utilization of premium-based alliance programs such as all-natural or organic beef production systems is useful in the livestock industry as long as the premiums that we receive offset the extra cost associated with that production system.
That's good information. Thank you, Dr. Mader, for your time. Now back to you, Susie.
For more information, you can head to our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. We'll be right back.
2 100% pure USDA inspected patties are only the beginning of what make the Big Mac famous, and that's what we're made of.
Purina's wind and rain minerals are research tested and field proven to provide balanced mineral nutrition essential for cattle health, growth, and reproduction. They're highly palatable so cattle consume what they need when they need it. And wind and rain mineral special formulation resists the elements so they won't blow out of the feeder and maintain their palatability even if they've been wet. Wind and rain cattle minerals from Purina Mills, building better cattle.
I'm Ross Havens from Nichols Farms here at Bridgewater, Iowa, and you're watching Cattleman to Cattleman.
NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, a television show by cattlemen for cattlemen.
Welcome back. New products have been one of the key factors in the more than 20% increase in beef demand since 1998. Now there are several new steaks in grocery stores and restaurants that are giving consumers more beef options. Reporter Brian Baxter has more on the growth in beef value cuts.
The flat iron steak, one of the beef industry's most popular new products, is gaining popularity not only in restaurants but also in the retail meat case. The flat iron, along with other beef value cuts such as the petite tender, were developed with beef checkoff dollars.
You realize that we last year sold 103 million pounds of the new value cuts out of the chuck. That just boggled my mind. I went back and researched a little more, and that's true, and that's stuff that would have just been ground up as hamburger before.
The beef value cuts offer a wonderful opportunity not only to the consumer but also to the producer. To the producer, it is giving greater value to the chuck and round. To the consumer, it is offering them an eating experience and a price point, particularly at the retail, that they can enjoy a small steak that is juicy and very, very flavorful.
Now the checkoff-funded Beef Value Cuts program will gain even more momentum with the introduction of printed guides on each of the cuts that give retailers an opportunity to better market these valuable products.
Each of those guides is going to directly and specifically address that particular cut, and so it's going to give to the retailer or the food service person or the consumer how to use the cut.
Today, beef value cuts are offered in more than 20,000 restaurants and by more than 4,000 retailers nationwide. Partly by turning the chuck and round into these steaks, CattleFacts research shows beef producers have seen added value of as much as $70 per head. I'm Brian Baxter reporting.
Some of the new value cuts, including the ranch steak and the Western griller, are also on the list of the 29 lean cuts of beef. It's becoming one of our favorite segments on Cattleman to Cattleman, legacy photos. Let's take a look at this week's selection. Please do keep sending those fun family photos. Head to our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. Next week, straightening out the facts of BRD or shipping fever, plus a visit to another Environmental Stewardship Award-winning ranch. And as always, your news and market headlines. Before we wrap up this week, we wanted to remind you about an exciting effort to increase interest in large animal veterinary medicine. Fort Dodge Animal Health has teamed up with the National Cattlemen's Foundation to offer 5 $5,000 legacy scholarships. 3 scholarships will be offered to veterinary school students who have chosen an emphasis in beef production, and 2 scholarships will be offered to undergrad students enrolled in an animal science program. Our viewers can help by faxing qualifying Fort Dodge Animal Health invoices to 1-800-330-4720. The company will donate 3% of sales to the Fort Dodge Animal Health Legacy Scholarship for a total of $25,000. Head to our website at cattlemantocattleman.org for more information about qualifying products and how to apply for one of these outstanding legacy scholarships. Thanks for joining us on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Be sure to tune in next week. A new episode airs every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern Time right here on RFD TV.